The way people work has changed greatly over the past 10 months. My name is Megan O'Brien, and today I'll be chatting to you about remote working trends. Since the COVID-19 pandemic arrived in Ireland, we've seen a shift in working trends, from travelling into the office every day to working from home. However, while there are many benefits to working this way, such as reduced travel times and increased flexibility, there are also downsides. Isolation, loneliness, and a lack of division between work and home life are problems many are experiencing. But working from home isn't the only way to work remotely. And as people begin to experience these problems in their everyday lives, we've seen the emergence of digital hubs and co-working spaces. Now, this sector did exist pre-COVID, and it was growing steadily, but the pandemic has accelerated the growth of the industry greatly. Shared open plan offices, aka co-working spaces, and digital hubs, which are essentially hives for remote workers, can be found all over the country now, and provide a community for remote workers where they can increase productivity whilst combating isolation and creating a barrier between work and home life. Speaking to Rose Barrett, Community Manager of Grow Remote, Ireland's remote working community, I asked what kind of trends we're seeing in the industry over the past few months.
So I think that there's been the odd one-off of people using these hotel deals, but the majority of people that I've spoken to have said that it just isn't fit for what they want. Where possible, people would prefer to go and use a hub. We're hearing more people going out and using hubs, but it does feel like it's improved. More people are seeing it as an option, but I think we still have a long way to go yet. Something that we've noticed is people still aren't fully aware that hubs are an option. So I think that there's an education piece that we still all need to do. Like, definitely, one of my frustrations would be that people would talk about remote work as if it's work from home. And okay, during the pandemic for a lot of people it was. But that's not what remote work is. It isn't, remote work doesn't equal remote work from home for everybody. For some people it does. Like, the hub has so many benefits. It's covering your health and safety. You know, you have ergonomic hardware. You've also got the social part. You know, your employer is happy because all the boxes that needs to be ticked, again, with health and safety are ticked. Or for some people, they don't have that extra room in their house, or else, you know, maybe they just need the space to get out of the house and get somewhere. That whole mindset thing that you get. Like, even for me now, I need, at all possible, I need every morning to get out of the house for a walk. And that's how I know I'm starting my work day. I'm using an online tool to see what the keyword searches are for digital hubs and co-working. And both terms are following a fairly similar trend. There was a spike in November and October. The term digital hub being searched in Ireland took quite a big, obviously, jump in February, March, dipped a little bit in the summer, and is starting to climb back up again. So the average monthly searches at the moment are about 390 per month for the term digital hub, and co-working is about similar. The cost per click on that one, on Digital Hubs Ireland, is super high. It's €9. That's obviously quite competitive.
So it seems the demand for, or even interest in, these remote working facilities is on the up. But I wanted to speak to the people who actually run these places and talk to them about what their experiences have been. Coordinator of the Wexford branch of the New Work Junction co-working spaces, Catherine Darcy, talked to me. They'd only finished their building down there when the first lockdown kicked in back in March. And obviously it was a blow, but they were actually pleasantly surprised when they reopened on the 8th of June and found that there was a huge demand for their space. Interestingly enough though, they were kept busy with holidaymakers that came to their holiday homes on the coast for a few months. And they found that booking into the hub, they could actually work while they were on holidays. And obviously this is one of the huge benefits of remote working. As coordinator of the space for over a year now, Catherine really understands the need for the division of work and home life, saying, being at home 24/7 is really not healthy. It's definitely better if people can get out to work, be that in a co-working space or somewhere else, even just to get out, have a chat and have a coffee, even if it is at a social distance, is hugely beneficial. I also spoke to Danny O'Brien, owner of Business Barn, a co-working space in North Kildare, about what their experience has been since the pandemic came to Ireland and how business has been affected overall.
Yeah, so initially when things kicked off, I guess it all happened pretty quickly, the pandemic. So our first reaction was to close down once the lockdown came into effect because to maintain the safety of everyone, and under government legislation, we shut it down for it was a couple of months, and then as they started releasing the 5-step stage program to come back to reopen the economy, and we opened around mid-June, I think it was, under certain guidelines. So we allowed construction businesses and essential businesses back first, and then the rest of our members were able to come back. But obviously with increased restrictions, we've reduced capacity to 50% in the open plan area to ensure that there's a social distance atmosphere for everyone. Again, it ensures the safety for everyone. We've had to spend more on cleaning, so there's 3 hours a day of cleaning that goes into the business barn, and there's obviously signage and increased security around signing into the barn and out each day. Any visitors have to fill out a form, so it's made it more, I guess, inconvenient for our members. It's allowed, we've not been able to have as many members there, which has cut our revenue, but look, we're compared to a lot of businesses, we've been able to stay open and provide a safe environment, and touch wood. We haven't had any outbreaks or cases there so far, so our guidelines have worked and the business has taken a hit, but as I said, we're still open, so we can't complain too much.
Have you found that since Ireland moves more to remote working, and we see a huge increase in the trend of working from home and things like that, have you found that demand has gone up? And also, has anybody expressed that they like to come to the barn for reasons other than needing an office, maybe things like mental health, and needing that work and home life separation?
Yeah, definitely. As I said at the start, before the pandemic, it was, business was good, and we were nearly full, pretty much full just before the pandemic, and then we lost about 60% of our customers in one afternoon, actually. Dealing with a lot of startups and freelancers, projects were cut, funding was cut, around mid-March, so we actually lost a lot of members initially, as the world seemed to be ending. But once we reopened, and especially after a couple of months in lockdown, people got in touch. We got a lot of new members in. Obviously, our capacity is down, so it's not as much as we were that we could have. But we've actually got a waiting list at the moment. We've been inundated with demand at the moment, because a lot of people have moved to working from home. They're getting sick of it. That separation between home life and work life isn't clear, and a lot of people struggle with that. And even a sense of isolation as well. So they miss the kind of coffees with their co-workers, or even somebody to have a chat about, or bitch about what's happening at home or whatever it might be. And I think as people in general crave that. So definitely we've seen an uptick in demand coming out of the lockdown in the first instance, and that's continued right through the last few months. And I think looking ahead, once the pandemic ends, there will be a lot more demand as well, because I don't think people will go back to working in the office 5 days a week. I think the future is more flexible and more mixed of in-person in the office and from home or at a space like ours. So I'm optimistic at the future, and hopefully when we can open back up after this lockdown, and when COVID goes away, we can increase our capacity and see where we go from there.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.